Every 3 seconds, someone is diagnosed with dementia, not because they're aging faster than others, but sometimes because of something else, something quieter, more familiar, a little pill you've been taking every day. Have you ever walked into a room only to forget why you went there? Have you ever seen a familiar face, but the name escapes you completely? Maybe you've told yourself, that's normal, just part of getting older. But what if it's not just aging? What if it's the first sign of something more? A silent wind, gently blowing away the pieces of memory, the map inside that tells you who you are, where you are, and what you love most. In this video, we'll walk through 9 common medications, prescribed every day, but when used long-term, they may slowly dim your ability to remember, to think clearly, and to stay connected. This isn't meant to scare you. It's meant to help you realize some things we think are helping us may quietly be making us lose ourselves. And this is not a criticism of modern medicine. It's an invitation for you to ask, to understand more, and to work with your doctor toward better choices. We're not just here to warn you. We're here to help you understand. Why does each medication affect memory? What are the early warning signs you should look for? And what foods can nourish your brain? Simple, safe, yet effective. So if you're looking for ways to stay sharp, stay aware, and stay in control of your aging journey, please hit subscribe to Life in Words right now. Here, we don't just share medical information. We share real-life stories with a voice that is calm, warm, and respectful. If you've ever felt, lately, I haven't felt quite like myself, leave a comment, I'm listening to my body. That one sentence may be the very first step to reconnecting with your memory. Part 1, first-generation antihistamines, when the allergy fades but memory begins to blur. You sneeze, your eyes itch, seasonal allergies, dust, pet dander. One little pill, Benadryl, dime tap, chlortrimeton, and you start to feel better in just a few hours. These are first-generation antihistamines. Very common, very convenient, found in the medicine cabinets of millions of households. But behind that relief, there's something few people notice. Your brain is slowing down, quietly. These medications have strong anticholinergic effects. They reduce acetylcholine, a neurotransmitter responsible for memory, attention, and learning. Imagine your brain as a city with thousands of intersections for thought. Acetylcholine is the green light that keeps traffic flowing. When that signal gets blocked, the lights go dark, traffic jams, information gets lost. As a result, you forget, you feel foggy, you become confused. A study from JAMA Internal Medicine found that long-term use of first-generation antihistamines significantly increases the risk of dementia. You don't have to wait years to feel it. Some people begin noticing that they walk into a room and forget why, repeat the same question, forget familiar names, wake up feeling like there's a fog in their head. Margaret, 72, took Benadryl every night for allergies. I slept better, but in the morning, I felt like I was living somewhere between awake and dreaming. When her doctor switched her to Loratadine, a second-generation antihistamine, the mental fog began to lift. It didn't disappear completely, but she started to feel present again each morning. This isn't advice to stop your medication suddenly. It's an invitation to ask, to reflect, to adjust. If you're taking allergy medication daily, ask yourself, which generation is my medication from? Does it affect memory? Are there safer alternatives? And more importantly, don't dismiss forgetfulness, even in small things. Sometimes it's not about getting older. It's about something inside you getting disconnected. If you've ever felt like you don't remember things as quickly after taking allergy medication, Leave a comment. I've felt that too. Because mental clarity should never be the cost of a peaceful night's sleep. Part 2. Benzodiazepines. When sleep becomes a fog that clouds the mind, you can't sleep, you feel anxious. Memories flood your mind at 2 a.m. Your doctor offers a solution: Valium, Xanax, Ativan, Klonopin. Benzodiazepines, prescribed millions of times each year. They help you fall asleep. They calm you down. They quiet the thoughts. A kind of sleep you thought you'd forgotten how to have. But what no one talks about is the price you pay, not in your dreams, but in the moment you wake up. Benzodiazepines increase GABA activity, a chemical that calms nerve signals. You sleep, but your brain sleeps too, deeper than it needs to. And in the morning, instead of feeling refreshed, you wake up under a thin layer of fog. Your memory feels muted. Your brain is like a piano, and that pill turns down the volume until you can no longer hear the familiar notes. Multiple studies, including one from the University of Bordeaux, have shown that using benzodiazepines for more than 3 months significantly increases the risk of cognitive decline. The first signs are subtle: forgetting who you called, getting lost on familiar streets, needing more notes to stay on track, looking into someone's eyes and feeling blank. Thomas, 69, started taking Valium after hip surgery. He slept better, but his daughter said Dad was sleeping more. But he wasn't really with us anymore. He'd sit there, silent, but his eyes, they were gone. When the doctor lowered his dose and added behavioral therapy, his memory slowly returned. Not overnight, but enough for him to remember why he loved his morning coffee. You don't have to stop your medication immediately, but you can ask, how long have I been on this? Are there lighter alternatives? Can I try natural therapies alongside? If you've ever woken up but felt like your mind was still somewhere else, leave a comment. I'm learning to come back to myself. Because deep sleep should never cost your presence in the life you're still living. Part 3. Proton pump inhibitors. When the acid fades but memory begins to slip away. Heartburn, a burning pain in your chest, acid reflux, every night. It steals your sleep, takes away your appetite, makes you dread every meal. Then comes that little pill, omeprazole, esomeprazole, lansoprazole, proton pump inhibitors, or PPIs. They reduce stomach acid. They bring comfort, ease. But did you know while your stomach feels better, your memory might be paying the price? Studies, including one from the University of Bonn, found that long-term PPI use is linked to cognitive decline and vitamin B12 deficiency. Why? Because stomach acid doesn't just digest food, it also triggers the absorption of vitamins and minerals, especially B12, magnesium, and iron. All of them are fuel for brain cells. You might think it's just a stomach pill. But your brain, like a car, slows down when it doesn't get the fuel it needs to start. Linda, 74, took omeprazole every day for nearly 2 years. I didn't feel the burning anymore. But then, I couldn't remember what I was about to say. Her son said, "Some days, Mom asked me the same question 3 times. Not because she didn't care, but because the moment she heard the answer, it seemed to slip away." Tests showed severe B12 deficiency. After switching to intermittent use and improving her diet, Linda's memory started to come back. Not all at once, but enough to say her granddaughter's name when holding her in her arms. If you're taking PPIs long-term, please review how long you've been using them. Get your B12 levels checked. Ask your doctor about alternatives, including diet changes and sleep posture. And remember, not every kind of relief is harmless. Some comforts in the body, if ignored too long, can make you slowly lose pieces of yourself. If you've ever felt your mind growing unclear while taking acid reflux medication, leave a comment. I'm beginning to reconnect. Because sometimes all it takes to bring memory back is one missing mineral. Part 4, Antipsychotics. When silence in the mind becomes permanent. When an older adult becomes agitated, yelling, paranoid, sleepless for days, families often ask the doctor, is there something to calm them down? And the answer is often risperidone, olanzapine, quetiapine, antipsychotic medications. Originally designed for schizophrenia, serious psychiatric disorders, but now, more and more, they're being prescribed for elderly patients with dementia. They work quickly, they calm, they quiet the mind, they stop the disruptive behavior. But have you ever wondered, when a mind becomes too quiet, is that peace or is it the slow disappearance of life from within? Studies, including one from Harvard, have warned older adults using antipsychotics face a higher risk of death, stroke, respiratory failure, and deep cognitive decline. The first signs aren't always obvious. Talking less, not responding to their name, not knowing where they are, and eyes that no longer seem present. Daniel, 76, was prescribed risperidone after a period of agitation. He became quiet, slept more, stopped wandering around. But his wife said I lost him a second time. The first time was because of the disease. This time, because of the medication. After gradually reducing the dose and using music therapy and physical activity, Daniel began to recognize people again, not fully, but enough to smile when he heard an old song. The message here is not to be afraid, but to understand antipsychotics should not be a long-term solution unless there is no other option. If you're caring for someone on these medications, pay close attention to their eyes, reflexes, expressions. Ask the doctor about alternatives. Record any changes you notice after each treatment phase. Because sometimes silence is not peace. It's a cry for help, spoken through a blank stare, through a mind quietly fading away. If you've ever seen someone become silent after taking these drugs, leave a comment. I've seen that happen. Not to blame, but to be understood. Part 5, Z drugs. When sleep comes easily, but the way out of confusion becomes harder. You lie awake, counting the ticks of the clock in the dark, eyes open, heart racing. Your body is tired, but your mind won't let go. Then comes a prescription, Ambien, Lunesta, Sonata, Z drugs. With the promise fall asleep easily, wake up refreshed, and you sleep in just 10 minutes. But the important thing isn't how fast you fall asleep. It's where your mind wakes up. Z drugs work by enhancing GABA activity. They quiet the brain temporarily. You fall into deep sleep, but it's not complete. Not the full cycle your brain needs to restore memory and thinking. Imagine stepping into a quiet, dark room, but when you open the door to leave, you can't remember how to get out. Long-term users of Z drugs often experience morning brain fog, forgetting what they just said, feeling drowsy all day, disoriented when waking up at night. A study from BMJ found that long-term use of Z drugs is linked to a higher risk of cognitive decline. Helen, 71, took Ambien every night for nearly a year. I slept, but in the morning, everything felt like it hadn't really happened. Her son said Mom smiled, but it was like she didn't know why. After stopping the medication under medical guidance and adjusting her sleep routine, Helen slept less, but each morning she knew where she was. She knew who she was. If you're using Z drugs, review how long you've been taking them, talk to your doctor about safer options, pay attention to any small changes in your memory and alertness. Because sleep shouldn't be a doorway into forgetfulness. It should be a place of rest that brings you back clear, whole, and awake. If you've ever felt awake but not really present, Leave a comment. I'm learning how to sleep again. Maybe what you need isn't just easier sleep, but a true awakening each morning. Part 6. Tricyclic antidepressants. When lifting the mood begins to dim the memory. Some sadness never shouts. It just lingers. You wake up and feel no reason to leave the bed. Joy disappears from the things you once loved. You can't find a reason to go outside. In your 60s or 70s, depression often doesn't arrive in tears. It comes quietly, through a soft withdrawal of spirit. And sometimes the doctor recommends amitriptyline, nortriptyline, imipramine, tricyclic antidepressants, or TCAs. They help you sleep better, ease chronic pain, make life feel lighter. But inside that comfort, a shadow may start to settle over memory. TCAs have strong anticholinergic activity. They suppress acetylcholine, the chemical your brain needs to maintain memory, concentration, and information processing. You won't feel it right away, but one day you might forget a friend's daughter's name, start a conversation, then lose your train of thought, take notes, yet still feel something missing in your mind. Your brain is like a lantern. TCAs don't blow out the flame. They dim the light, bit by bit, until you can no longer see clearly inside yourself. Thomas, 70, was prescribed amitriptyline to help with sleep and anxiety. He ate better, laughed more, but slowly, he began to forget old stories he once told so well. "I can't remember the last time I saw a clear blue sky," he said, eyes drifting far away. When his doctor switched him to a lighter medication and added meditation, his memory began to return, slowly, but more clearly each day. You don't need to fear medication. You just need to ask, do I truly need this? Can the dosage be reduced? Is there a version that's gentler on my memory? Because what we need to heal isn't just sadness. It's the ability to keep remembering, even the little things, when joy returns. If you've ever felt calmer but not as clear, leave a comment. I'm listening to my memory. You don't lose memory overnight, and you don't need to reclaim it in a single day. Just start noticing, one piece at a time. Part 7. Bladder control medications. When physical comfort comes at the cost of forgetfulness. You just fell asleep, but the urge to use the bathroom wakes you again. You stand up, carefully, moving through the dark. Some nights, it happens once, some nights, 3 times. You avoid leaving the house, avoid long drives, even hold back laughter. Then the doctor offers a solution: oxybutynin, tolterodine, solifenacin, medications to calm an overactive bladder. You take them, and you sleep through the night. You no longer rush out of conversations. But a few weeks later, something else begins to shift. Not in your bladder, in your memory. Most bladder medications work by suppressing acetylcholine, the very chemical your brain needs to stay alert, to remember, to focus. Your bladder is like a little bell that rings when it's full, but when the medication silences that bell, it may also mute the signals inside your brain. The earliest signs often go unnoticed: misplacing your keys, looking at your phone but forgetting why, calling someone by the wrong name, repeating stories you told yesterday. A study from UCSF found that long-term use of oxybutynin led to noticeable memory loss and shrinkage in the brain's hippocampus, the region responsible for memory. Linda, 74, took tolterodine for 6 months. "I felt clean, more confident, but then I couldn't remember if I'd eaten breakfast." One day, she looked at a photo of herself with her granddaughter, but couldn't remember the child's name. That was when she knew something was fading. After adjusting her dose, adding pelvic floor exercises, and managing fluid intake, Linda felt better. Not perfect, but enough to remember her granddaughter's birthday, enough to smile when someone called her by name. If you're taking bladder control medications, write down all the drugs you're using. Ask your doctor about safer alternatives. Watch for subtle changes in awareness and memory. Because the comfort of the body should not come at the cost of precious memory. If you've ever felt like your clarity is slowly slipping after taking bladder medication, leave a comment, "I'm listening to my body." No one knows your body better than you. And sometimes clarity begins with a small change, a brave question, a new prescription, or simply pausing to ask, do I still recognize myself? Part 8, Statins. When the heart is protected, but memory begins to blur. You go in for your regular checkup. The doctor reviews your labs, frowns slightly, and says your cholesterol is a bit high. We should manage it early to prevent stroke or heart attack. Then comes the familiar name atorvastatin, simvastatin, rosuvastatin, tiny statin pills. They're the top choice for heart disease prevention. They lower LDL, the bad cholesterol, which contributes to arterial plaque and heart attacks. No question, statins have saved millions of lives. But here's the part that's rarely discussed. When you protect your heart with statins, you may be sacrificing a small part of your memory. Why? Because your brain needs cholesterol to survive. Cholesterol forms the insulating layer around your brain's nerve cells, allowing messages to travel quickly and clearly. When cholesterol levels drop too low in the brain, the signals slow down. Memory lapses begin. The signs may seem mild, but they matter. Losing your words mid-sentence, forgetting familiar names, confusing appointments, or feeling like your thoughts are just slightly delayed. A study from the Mayo Clinic found that some people on statins experienced short-term memory loss, which improved when doses were adjusted. John, 68, once had a memory like a steel trap, but a few months after starting simvastatin, he began to forget his grandson's name, repeat stories at dinner, not recognize songs he once taught his daughter. "I don't feel like myself anymore," he whispered. When his doctor reduced the dosage and added fish oil and leafy greens, his memory began to return. Not entirely, but enough for him to laugh again, because he remembered why he was laughing. Not everyone on statins experiences memory problems, but if you feel something has changed, ask, am I on the right dose? Can it be adjusted or replaced? Are there dietary options to manage cholesterol without harming my brain? Because the heart must be cared for, but the brain, where every loving memory, every connection, every precious moment lives, deserves just as much protection. If you've ever felt your heart got stronger, but your mind dimmer, leave a comment, "I'm finding my clarity again." Because true health isn't just about strong pulses. It's about remembering who and what keeps your heart beating. Part 9, Cumulative Side Effects when many small pills create a storm in your memory. Sometimes forgetfulness doesn't have a single cause. Not one pill, but 5, 7, even 10 medications taken together. One for joint pain, one for allergies, one for the bladder, one for sleep, one to stay calm, one for the heart. Each one, on its own, might be harmless, but when combined, they can form a chorus that slowly dims the light inside your memory. This is what's known as the cumulative anticholinergic burden. Medications with anticholinergic properties, even mild ones, can add up, and together, they increase the risk of confusion, cognitive decline, and dementia. Imagine this. Each pill is a single drop of water. Your brain is a glass. You don't see anything wrong until the last drop causes the glass to overflow, and that's when things begin to slip. A study from Indiana University found that people with a high total anticholinergic score had twice the risk of cognitive decline, even though each individual medication seemed gentle. Elizabeth, 75, was taking one allergy pill, one for bladder control, a mild sedative, one for acid reflux, and a multivitamin with magnesium boosters. Every doctor had prescribed correctly, but no one asked. Taken together, how much is her brain actually absorbing? Her daughter noticed Mom stopped replying to my text right away. When we talked, she looked into my eyes, but it felt like she was somewhere else. After seeing a clinical pharmacist and reviewing her medications, they removed 3 drugs, replaced 2, and added daily brain exercises. Just a month later, Elizabeth remembered an old friend's name. She ordered her grandson's favorite meal and shared a memory from decades ago that everyone thought was gone. There was no miracle, just listening, adding things up, and making timely changes. If you're taking more than 3 medications a day, write down every single one. Ask your doctor or pharmacist, what's my total anticholinergic burden? Don't stop anything on your own, but don't be afraid to ask for a full review. Because memory doesn't vanish in a moment. It fades slowly through each small pill, day by day. If you've ever felt, I'm slowing down and I don't know why, leave a comment. I want to understand myself again. And you are not alone. Understanding what you're taking is the first step to becoming yourself again. Clear, aware, and fully present in each moment. Conclusion. Memory doesn't disappear overnight, but the journey to protect it begins today. You've walked with us through 9 parts, each one a small door, opening to a familiar pill, a medication that may have helped you sleep better, ease the pain, feel calmer, but in return, may have quietly taken away little pieces of your memory, not through a violent storm, but through gentle winds, day after day. You forgot an appointment, called someone by the wrong name, couldn't remember if you'd eaten. Not because you're simply getting older, but because your brain has been quietly calling for help. Memory isn't just a tool to look back, it's the map that keeps you here, now. It's how you recognize yourself in the mirror each morning, how you call your loved ones by name, how you stay present in your life, not just passing through it. And that's why you deserve to keep that map, to protect it, not let it fade because of pills you didn't realize were affecting you. This is not a warning to frighten you. It's a gentle reminder. Look again, ask questions, make a change. You can begin today. You don't need to do something big, just one step. Write down a list of every medication you're taking. Ask your doctor or pharmacist, do any of these have anticholinergic effects? Are there better options? Start nourishing your brain with small, meaningful habits. A glass of water in the morning, a plate of fresh greens, a song you once loved, a conversation that lingers, not just passes by. Elizabeth did, one step at a time, and though her memory didn't return completely, she came back to herself, enough to look at her granddaughter and smile. I still remember your name. If today's message touched you in any way, please subscribe to Life in Words. Here, we don't just share medical knowledge. We listen, we walk beside you, and we believe. Clarity is not a luxury. It is a right you still deserve. And if you're still listening at this point, leave a comment. I choose to keep my memory. That simple sentence may be the beginning of your most important journey yet.